How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This podcast is hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the sport of bowling. You will get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this generation, who just happens to be the son of a living legend. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the show, Rad Rob Francois, Dr. Ocho, and the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob Francois, joined by my co-host, who doesn't hate this show, even though he hates the show that we do on the other side of the network, RTW Main Event, which Ocho calls the worst show in the world, so don't ever listen to it.
I don't call it that. A lot of people call it that.
That's fair. No, that's fair. What's going on, Ocho? Good to have you here, buddy. You're looking good tonight. Your mask is nice and shiny. The guns are out. The sun's out. What's going on?
You nailed it. I mean, it's good to be here with Rad Rob.
You're such a dick.
That's it?
That's all you got. No, I just made a statement. You're such a dick.
That's not, we know that. People know that. You're stating, that's like saying you like Popeyes, okay? Like, it's all the same shit.
The third man of this group is the sexiest bowler in the world, who has arms bigger than Dr. Ocho. Yes, it's true. That's not
never been proven, but possible.
Hasn't it, though? Yeah, and
never truly been proven, but possible.
Plus, everything else on Junior is bigger than Ocho's.
Facts, straight facts.
It is the one and only Mr. Johnny Petraglia Jr. What's up, JP?
I only look larger because I'm taller.
That's what it is. Ocho's like 5'6". Yeah.
Truth be told, and I hate to say this on air, but I'm kind of chasing Ocho. I love his presence in the world. I love his presence in life. I love his happiness towards everybody. And I also love his biceps. So I work every day at those. And other than that, enough of the dick sucking for Ocho. Looking forward to an awesome bowling podcast tonight. Looking forward to talking about the US Open and reporting to you live from the Colorado River, where it is 7:56 or 8:56, depending on which side of the river you're on.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in Laughlin, Nevada tonight. So
I thought you were in the river, like just, kayaking down the river as you're doing the show.
Boating, canoeing. Yeah. Hey, what a segue. He went from dick sucking to talking about bowling in one sentence. That's
Imagine
amazing.
that.
We were going to take the water taxi back because it's badass to take a water taxi, and we don't have that in New York or New Jersey.
Or Nevada.
Ferries, but
really. Or Nevada.
Out here we have a water Uber for $5.
Yeah.
They haven't submitted to the government yet, so it's still $5.
Don't tax-free, man. Hell yeah.
Tax-free.
You also don't have water in Nevada either, so it's kind of defeats the purpose.
No, we don't.
Right?
Lake Mead is struggling.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Speaking of struggling, how's your league game going?
Another segue. Wow.
I'm back bowling well.
Good.
I hit I bowled back 707, 6, and 5. 707, 706, 705.
Oh.
With horrendous spare shooting, I may add. I've really felt good physically, but for some reason I'm having a hard time shooting spares on the left side. Again, I always attribute it to the change in the body and like the change of the arm swing and all that stuff. But yesterday I missed 2 out of 2 7-pins, so my single pin spare percentage was 0%, and I still averaged 240. So, or 235, whatever the number is. So. But in general, bowling is it's actually, due to this podcast, getting back into talking about bowling every week, which is making me rewatch bowling every week the way I used to when I was a kid. It's coming out on the lanes. It's actually good right now. Still haven't drilled anything new, but I have 2 brand new beauties on the way to the house, which I'm looking forward to putting some holes in.
Well, being with the same girl for a long time, I mean, you shouldn't be drilling anything new or putting new holes in anybody. So,
True.
I mean, that's
Ironically, but Och, as you say that, I'm like giving the pound.
Stop it.
Because she's.
I saw there was like some off in the
like
kilter
this right now. Like, just so you know, honey, you're right here with me.
Well, Johnny, I'm glad we reignited your passion for bowling because, I mean, you've been around
let's take
it.
the credit for that. The guy
that's all us.
His whole life.
No, 1,000%. It's all because of this show. And
100% straight up 5. That's what we do.
That's right. I mean,
I'll tell you what, and you know what? And that's the best way to open the show because it really has. It really does, and it really is what's going on. Like, I'm into Parker Bone's son, Justin, rebuilding the first 8 lanes in Howell, New Jersey to build a training center. I'm into watching Anthony Simonsen make back-to-back telecasts and just watching the younger crop do what they're doing and like to now be a seasoned vet in the entire bowling world is really cool to me. And to be talking to guys that one of which I've been with for 30 plus years and one a year, but I feel like I've known for 30 years. It's very, very cool. It's a good way to express what's going on in my bowling game and everybody else's bowling game around me. And I find myself being more observant with everything that's going on around me. And it's really cool what's going on.
Ocho, how do you feel about that? I mean, is this a different Johnny that you've known for so many years now?
He was always a bowler, always into bowling, always a student, always astute. And if you were friends with him, you were in his good graces. So I can't say it's anything new. I never, knowing somebody for a long time, but not knowing them besides bowling is a different realm. So I've gotten to know him more in the last 6 months, 8 months than, in the last 30 years. We played golf together. And the thing is, we never talked bowling. So it is actually pretty damn cool. I always figured, why talk bowling to somebody who bowls or just I didn't mean that their life is bowling. I just figured I don't want to hear it anymore. And that's why we're playing golf or talking football. So it's actually pretty wild to hear this renewed vigor going on, man.
Well, anybody that's listened to the show, I mean, that's listened to the past shows, refer back to the story about Och and my dad with the potato chips or Och in the bar. Like, everybody's DNA is somewhat set from their predecessor, right? So Ocho tells a story that my dad says, I love sitting next to you, Butch. You talk about everything but bowling, and you bother everybody that shows up that wants to talk about bowling. It's when Och and I went and had drinks at Ivy League, or we would go and play golf, and he would wear the Tom Kite hat or all that shit. I remember all that shit. I remember all of it because those are the moments that, those are the experiences that I want. I've always said, and I'll say it a million times over, bowling is just a gateway into experiences of life that most people don't have. And that's one thing I've always looked for in people that I meet in the bowling industry, which I've met through you guys and everybody else that I choose to be around in the bowling industry. It's all for a purpose. It's all because you guys all contribute in different ways that selfishly excites my life, makes me happy. And you guys do that. And thank you for it.
Well, we like
so
living.
I feel like I owe it.
We like living vicariously through you too. At least I know Ocho does for sure. We like to see
learning the stories that we do.
Well, that too, but I mean, no, true. But we like to see Johnny succeed too. We want the best version of Johnny that anybody can get, and his charisma is infectious. Like we talked off air, Johnny's a pro, whether he knows it or not.
Supernatural.
Absolutely.
Like, the first thing I talked to his dad, I was like, we did 2 shows, and he's so good.
Yeah.
Just knows what to say, how to say it. I mean, and knows when to get riled up when it's time to get riled up, knows when to dial it back when it's time to dial it back. It's amazing how some of the things that people have to learn and be taught to do, he can do on an innate response. That's what's really wild. It's pretty much what we talked off air.
Yeah. But in any event,
I've actually learned that over time, and I talk to Rochelle all the time about this, is I've learned that life in such a way that it almost flew over, or like rolled over into my regular life. I'm so used to knowing what to say in front of a camera. I'm so used to my own world in the bowling world, and through all of that, for a brief period there, I kind of lost myself. And now I've reached the point where I just want to genuinely be happy. I still love what I do. I still love where I come from, but I want to evolve and see other things. I don't want to get stuck in one place. And I was always afraid to do that. I was always afraid to just be like, yeah, this is the way I am. I like to drink tequila. I like to drive and like I'm a little bit off the wall. But you know what? I finally learned a lot of people are. As long as you stick to your commitments and do the things you're supposed to do, and as long as you're still enjoying what you're doing, who cares, right? So, and that's what this show actually presents. This is what this show does, and anybody that listens to it, I don't think they would disagree. They always get the real three of us all the time. And
that's what makes us different from every other show, especially bowling shows. So that's why I think it sets us apart from the rest, because you're not having, and we've talked about this before, you're not worried about having to tiptoe around the PBA, or you'll call out their commentators or their presentation if need be. You're not afraid of pissing people off, whereas some of the pros that do the shows, obviously, that's where their money comes from, and they're not going to piss off, Well,
I don't know that hold on, but his intention isn't pissing anybody off.
No, but
his intention is bringing out what may be a correction needed.
Right,
really,
right.
Like it's not. He's not going out saying,
no.
I know what you're saying, which is good for the show, but like, don't paint him as the guy that's just going to say,
it's kind of right in the middle of what you guys are both saying. It's being aware of your surroundings, as Rob said, but it's also being aware of where you come from, like Oach said. And I think the reason I've always been attracted to athletes that do that is because, okay, great, I appreciate them for their talent, but I also appreciate them for who they are in life. That's why I like Tom Brady. I've said it on every single show. Tom Brady's retired, and the entire world wants to say, oh, he's on his yacht with Giselle. He's doing this. He's doing that. His fucking arm's a noodle now. Yeah. Meanwhile, Tom Brady's out with Giselle on a fucking yacht, enjoying his life.
Right.
And he's probably going into local pubs every which way from Sunday, signing autographs and just smiling.
He's probably throwing footballs because he's coming back, too. I don't care what anybody says.
That's Jerome Bettis. That's J.J. Watt. That's... Like, everybody liked that. Leroy Horde. I'm going way back.
Leroy Horde, Cleveland Browns Leroy Horde. Oh, my God.
Minnesota
Baltimore
Vikings.
Ravens.
When I bowled him, he was a Viking.
Yes, that was his later years with Robert Smith. Robert Smith was the running back for the Vikings. Leroy Horde, he was Warren Moon was the Sean Salisbury was the quarterback. Oh, my God.
Heck
I'm getting all freaking jacked up. All right, we're talking bowling.
Yeah, before we get into
bowling,
we're going to talk about the U.S. Open because
only audio.
We ran long last week, so we didn't get into the U.S. Open. We will get that here in a few minutes.
All right, I'm going to say one quick thing about this real quick, and I'm going to use this as a positive. The same fucking reasons that I just told both of you, the reason I love this podcast is because you guys are real. You guys are always real, whatever it is, right? And I'm going to say this out loud to both you and everybody listening. People that are evolved or want to evolve understand a lot of different things, right?
Right.
So I grew up listening to nothing but oldies, or like when I say oldies, I'm talking about the Drifters. I'm talking about fucking doo-wop. I'm talking about
Coasters.
Right. Okay. I also listened to Grand Funk Railroad and bands like that. Also because of my dad. My mom loved Janis Joplin and the Beatles. Then, when I started driving, I loved Nelly and Linkin Park. And then when Eminem came out, I loved Eminem. And then I started listening to Dr. Dre and Snoop and Rammstein and fucking, it doesn't matter who it was. So, and I've lived in Ohio, New Jersey, Nevada. I've lived all over the fucking country. And I genuinely find something. I love Chris Stapleton. I love fucking Terry Clark. I love fucking Shania Twain.
Holy
It
fuck,
doesn't
Terry
matter.
Clark, are you shitting me?
Are you?
That's
I
my
want to do it
girl.
all. I want to visit Paris in the fall and watch the Yankees play ball. I want to take it all in. Catch a few beads down in Mardi Gras. Start a tradition and lay down the law. Yes,
I
do
want to
love
do
Terry
it all.
Clark. Right.
I want to drink tequila down in Tijuana.
It bothers me that I'm scrolling through Facebook as I do, and I got to scroll past 100 people saying, yeah, I had to leave the room before the show started. That's the kind of shit that's separating our country.
That's ignorant.
It's ignorant. It is ignorance at its pinnacle to me. And my Super Bowl party, I'm going to say this on this show. I had gays, I had blacks, I had bisexuals, I had straights, I had fucking everything under the sun at my Super Bowl party. And everybody stopped dead in their fucking tracks to watch that fucking show. Want to know why? Because everybody knows those fucking songs that were sang. And that production was fucking awesome. The same way that I felt when The Who was on stage, the same way I felt when Bruno Mars was on stage, the same way I felt when Whitney or fucking Michael Jackson was on stage. Doesn't matter what color you are, what color you want to be, where the fuck you come from, or Prince. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to be around people with good energy. I want to be around people with the right fucking vibes. That's what you guys bring, and that's why I felt the Super Bowl show was fucking awesome. I thought it was awesome.
And I thought it was great, too, and I'll be honest, I don't listen to rap. I never really listened to rap. But I enjoyed the show because, number one, they're great entertainers. Number two, I respect them for what they've done for their business.
Hell yeah.
So for those two reasons alone, I enjoyed the halftime show.
And how about, but also the crowd pop when they did, dude, I know it was nostalgia. I get that. But the crowd pop that hit when they would bring out a song that they loved, again, 20 years ago, it's like when you hear a fucking wrestler's music,
right.
when JP hears Bret Hart's fucking music, he's going to go, oh shit.
Right.
Goddamn.
And I respect Jay. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Bret Hart.
Yeah. That's it. Oh my God.
And I respect
you hear
Dre.
Two beats. That's Dr. Dre on piano.
Yeah.
2 beats. That's Fitty. 2 beats. That's Eminem.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what color they are. Doesn't matter where they're fucking from, dude.
That's right.
I thought it was awesome. And yeah, honestly, I don't have any kids, but Rochelle does. And I view them as my kids. So to watch them on the couch, feeling the same way that I was feeling the same way that my 30, 40, and 50, and 60-year-old friends right behind me were feeling, looking around that room and seeing everybody smiling. Just to hear 5 songs that are familiar. 5 familiar songs. That was it. Eminem didn't do 2. Dre kind of did 2 when he played piano. Snoop, fucking loving life. Everybody wants to be Snoop.
Yeah.
Let's be fucking honest.
Dude, who
the guy
wouldn't want
wakes
to
up
hang out
every
with that
fucking
guy?
day.
Right.
Who wouldn't want to hang out with Snoop?
Who wouldn't want to hang out?
Wouldn't want to hang out
with
with Snoop?
You are. The guy's the most chill guy. He wants to smoke a blunt, hang out, and talk to you, and be fucking just chilled out.
Yeah,
exactly.
He'll be a great bowler. Fuck
he would. And Dre commanded the crowd. He hasn't lost a step.
And Mary J, I'm just gonna say this right out loud, the sexiest fucking woman.
Stupid hot.
Oh,
stupid
my
hot.
God, that outfit, that voice, that face, those cheekbones, I can't take it.
My wife,
quarantine lady was just like, oh my God, look at her.
My wife loves her.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely right. And I marked out for Eminem just because I love that song, Lose Yourself. And I know it's a fucking overplayed song, and a lot of my friends are like, oh, it's the worst fucking song on the album. I don't give a fuck. I love...
Only because it's mainstream.
Right. But
Only because everybody knows it. So everybody it was the best. Yeah. And that's another thing, because all this shit that I scroll through, especially from the haters, I want to say one thing. That culmination, I mean, we're talking Dr. Dre, Snoop, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and 50 Cent. And they fucking... last person they want to fucking blast is Eminem.
Yeah.
For that one song. Want to know why? Because that one song appeals to every single heart in America. Every single fucking heart. Anybody that's ever wanted something, anybody that's ever felt down on themselves, anybody that's ever given a fuck about anything in their life, that entire group knows how to fucking portray through song. And that's fucking awesome to me.
Yeah.
That's genuinely why, like, I was almost crying when I watched it. And then I saw Meadow Soprano on the Chevy commercial. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, she was up in my neck of the woods filming that. Yeah, you're damn right, at the place where I used to watch Steeler games over here. So, yeah, I know she was chasing Ocho. She was over here. There's a place
she still
right
is.
near.
We all are.
You're damn right she is. Oh, shit. You guys don't even see her? She's out the window.
So
literally 2 blocks from where I'm at, that's where that commercial was filmed. At this place called
cool.
Bars.
Yeah.
And there's a chubby pickle in which she was fixing to get if she stayed around long enough.
How cool. Yeah, man, the lollipop instead of the cigar, they really knew what they were doing in that commercial.
I agree.
Come on.
Yeah.
Dude, people got mad at that. They were like, I thought I was going to get a new Sopranos show, and I had to deal. I'm like, dude, fucking.
Yeah, people will get mad at anything. They'll never appreciate the value of what they're watching.
Agreed. No,
Same as Facebook. Everybody wants to bitch about being in Facebook jail. I don't care about Dems or Libs or Republicans or conservatives. It doesn't matter at this point. But, like, with all due respect, you have that outlet because of somebody. You have that opportunity because of somebody. Just don't be a dick, you know?
Yeah, nobody would even know unless you wrote an article in the newspaper.
On social media, and I've never been in Facebook jail. Just don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick, you know? That's the only job.
Have you posted this show on social media?
Yeah, once, twice. Do you have to break my balls every week, even with the opening before the show?
Yeah. Anyways, so
it actually hurts me when you say that. I have ADHD. I'm moderately bipolar, and I have a hard time talking to the general public because I don't want them to hate me because of Dad's legacy. You have to bring that up.
Goddamn, Ocho.
This is not really what I'm saying. It's only real for him.
Don't edit this out.
All right. Getting back to bowling, because apparently this is what the show's all about. I didn't know that.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I had a great orgy joke lined up when he said who was on his Super Bowl party until he said kids were there, so can't say that. So thanks for that,
We had one 15-year-old who was brought by this one really sweet woman that I work in the office with. She's fun, she's bubbly, and her husband got invited to a party that didn't allow kids at South Point, a viewing party. So I said, please come over to the house. And she brought over her kid. Her kid was rocking a Budweiser hoodie and a fucking 10-gallon hat. And she was cool as shit. I made
she
her
fucking ran the show already. God damn.
She was awesome. She was awesome. So it was.
Yeah, so you ruined my joke. And, like, now I feel, so I can't say nothing. And I'm like, good for you.
You don't feel
You got to remember something, Oach. I'm on the Colorado River right now. I don't know what time it is. And
it could be 1 hour or the other hour right now. That's where we're at. Hey, if you hold your watch literally like over to the side of your iPhone, will it change? Like if you try to go Riverside, will it actually? Oh my God. Audio podcast.
All right. So getting back to bowling. Somebody's got to rein this shit in. We didn't touch on the US Open last week because we ran long, as we always do, because we never talk about what we're supposed to talk about. JP's friend, Anthony Simonsen, who, according to JP, had gone dark for a while. You hadn't talked to him in several weeks or a few months. Reemerges, bowls his ass off, wins the US Open, and then tells us, well, he lost his mom a few months ago, and then he just lost his dad, or vice versa. And he got completely emotional. Did you know what was going on with him? Did you hear about any of that before?
Anthony broke down in me and Rochelle's backyard about a year ago about his mom, and he was talking about it, and he was talking about his dad, and it was real. You could see the hurt in the kid's eyes, and I never experienced that kind of hurt when I was in my
young kid,
20s.
by the way. If it was a year ago, he's 24, I think, maybe.
I don't want to give false info, but when Rochelle gets back, I'll ask her. But he was crying his heart out and explaining about how Rochelle's back now. Hang on one second. Anthony was over the house about a year ago, and he broke down in the backyard with Rochelle and I talking about his mom. And at that moment, Rochelle had pulled me inside and said, I really like this kid. He's a good kid, and you can tell that he's had a tough go, and he really wants to make a fucking name for himself, and he's got the fucking brain to do it. Rochelle's been in love with Anthony since she met him. So when we watched the television show and he broke down on national television, everybody wanted to criticize him when he got pumped up or when he fried out, but nobody ever really wanted to stop for a minute and say, maybe he's just got that much emotion inside of him, because the same emotion he expresses in the negative way on television or during the tournament, he expresses on television. He's so real. He's everything I wish I was when I was his age. I wish that I could wake up every day and be like Anthony Simonsen. Like, I'll say that out loud.
I don't think at that age you really can. I mean, that's the hard part about it. That's kind of adding more credence to what he's doing.
Right.
Who can literally attack that with both his parents now? Like, think about it. And then still be the second best bowler in the fucking world right now.
Exactly. And that's the same thing, other than Anthony. The other kid that I see nowadays is Justin Bone, Parker's kid. Justin is bowling for Wichita. He's hooked up with Neil Feingold at Howell Lanes to build rev rates. Took the first 6 lanes to build a training facility. He's a kid, man. Now, granted, Rochelle and I, again, have had this conversation also. Maybe he has the advantages of being in a bowling family, but what he's doing is he's using them in the right way. He's trying to continue to build the sport. He's trying to attract a gathering the same way Anthony does when he's on television. But Anthony does it differently than Justin. Justin does it with his heart in a strategic way, and Anthony does it with his heart on the lanes. But they both do it the same way. They're both appealing the same exact way. And for me, now that I'm 37, to watch a kid to watch Parker Bone's kid, whom my dad signed, to be that awesome, and not to mention just Justin. We're talking about Sydney and Brandon. They are all so talented in their own unique ways. Sydney Bone. Today's her 16th birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Sydney. Sydney throws the ball like Parker or Leslie. Brandon is a high backswing Jason Couch hammer at lefty. And Justin is a two-handed righty. None of them are Parker. And they all fucking love bowling equally. And they are all into the sport. And they're all trying to do what they do in their own ways. Sydney bowls for my old alma mater high school, St. John Vianney. She leads a team of not too great bowlers, but they still went undefeated this year. Brandon is a Team USA member. Justin bowls for Wichita State. And they're all using their abilities to grow the sport. They're not trying to shit on the sport. They're not they're not doing what I do. They're not has-beens in that respect. And granted, they're kids when I say that, but that's the kind of shit that I appreciate now. And it's the same way I feel about Anthony. It's the same way anybody that knows Anthony feels about Anthony. Anthony goes to work 6 months a year on the PBA Tour, and then he comes home and he rebuilds the bowling lanes in the bowling alley that he bought. He didn't hire somebody to fucking do it. He loves working on the ball returns. He loves changing the fucking lane panels. He loves fixing the machines. If his fucking lanes are a tenth of a centimeter off leveling from gutter to gutter, he fixes it.
Wow.
It's just the way the kid lives. And so when I see him cry on television when he wins the US Open, again, this is selfish of me to say, but I look at him and I say, that's who I want to be. And that's who I wish I was. And that's what's going to keep the sport going, is people like that. So if we want to dedicate this entire show to him, when you want to feed into what he did on that fucking television show to win that $100,000,
is it the shame of the television show of not that that's their business, but like to understand or lay out where the emotion comes from? Because sometimes they make him out to be like just a hothead, and that's not right. Like, friggin' this guy is literally bowling for a legacy now, and maybe I heard this stir the fuel a little bit, but
I'm going to answer you. I heard this on Sweep the Rack. Walter Ray Williams Jr. Excuse me. This was on the Bone and Zano zone with
not
Mike
Sweep the
Val
Leg
and
with
Justin
Johnny
Bone.
Lawrence? Okay.
It was not Sweep the Leg with Johnny Lawrence.
It should have been.
Oh, fuck.
Go ahead. I
Damn
didn't
it.
mean to get you with the Cobra
On
Kai shit.
Bone and Zano. Oh, yeah, Walter Williams Jr. He was talking about they were having a show about the regional players that should be in the Hall of Fame. Should there be a Hall of Fame for regional players? What the hell were you talking about? You did throw me off with that. I was talking about Walter. Got it. You were talking about I got it. Sorry, Och. They were talking about the stepladder. They were talking about the airtime in the TV show and like why everybody reacts to the fryouts and all that stuff. In golf, you get to watch 4 days. You get to watch 2 rounds, and then you get to watch Saturday and Sunday. And then at the culmination of the 4 rounds, whoever has the lowest score wins the tournament. In bowling, that doesn't happen. Walter said it would be much more enjoyable for the general public to see the last 3 games and then the position round to see who's fighting to make television, to make the stepladder finals, right?
This is such bullshit because I said this about 10 years ago. Fuck, never mind. Go ahead.
So what Walter says is, he says, imagine after 4 days of a golf tournament, if the top 5 guys played a 3-hole match on television. That'd be really exciting for the crowd to watch, right? It would be awesome. It would be the greatest thing in the world. However, the golf world would go fucking nuts. Because how the hell could I shoot 60, 59, 62, and 64, and the guy behind me is 10 strokes worse than me, and
then lose 3 holes? Dude, fuck bullshit. I fucking said this 10 fucking years ago. I'm not even kidding. Fuck this. Go. Finish it up. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword for me. Bowling does not have what golf does. We don't have 4 hours a day for 4 straight days a week. We get Jason Belmonte on Sundays for an hour if he wins 3 games, or if he qualifies 5th and wins 3 games.
Yeah, we're lucky. If
we
he's the number 1 seed, you only get
for
1
4
fucking
hours a day. So now I got to figure out how to be a showman and win a fucking tournament against the best bowlers in the world, all in 1 hour. But I have 1 hour to do that.
When did they screw it up when they started giving bonus points for like match play or something like that? Because golf is just stroke play the whole way. I swear to God, I said this the first bowling tournament I ever went to. I didn't know it was by pins. I had no clue. Obviously, Ron Paget. By the way, Mike Ormsby, I'm texting him now. Yes, exactly. Mike Ormsby says thanks for shouting out rev rates because he's been working there big time.
Heck yeah.
So
I'm watching that production day by day. I actually saw Mike Ormsby's post from the back where they're inputting the new
They just put the
machines.
new freaking yeah. They're taking out of my league play. This is bullshit. I don't need that.
And to watch Mike Ormsby of all people, I'm going to give him a shout out on the show because I've known Mike since he was a kid.
He was a little fat bastard.
Man, oh man, dude. Nah, he was always cool, and he was always the best, and his whole family for that matter.
So, by the way, he actually got in really good shape. I mean, you've seen him, obviously. He was a little chubby
He's
kid.
CrossFit now, of course.
He better not. All I said was, I said, do you even lift, bro? And then he said, I'm back now. Don't worry. He benched 105 for 12. And I said, that's more than me. He's obviously not doing that. No, I see him at the gym a year ago. He fucked up his hand recently, but that's not the point. When you're saying I went to one tournament and I saw that it was literally pin play. I didn't know that that's how they counted tournaments. And then, so I'm like, well, shit, Rondo, this is just like golf. Why don't they just, and I get it. If the guy's up 450, that also makes for a lousy Sunday. So is that why they thought of the stepladder format? Because, Tiger being up by 12 on day 4, knowing that no one's going to catch him makes for a boring round. But a guy being up by 400 in bowling, is it because of the bonus points of match play or whatnot? Because I feel like if they could show all that and watch somebody make the cut, like there's so much more drama and theater to be had. And I didn't know this ever took place until Rondo took me to a tournament.
We don't. What I was saying is we don't have the television production value. In other words, we get so if Tiger's up by 13 strokes, the cameras go to the guys that are tied for second. It might be Matt Kuchar, Bryson DeChambeau, and Patrick Cantlay. The announcer's job at this point is Tiger's going to win $1 million. He's going to get a 5-year exemption to this tournament. This is his 5th crown, yada, yada. We're going to talk about all the
Let's make it interesting somehow.
But what they're also going to talk about is that second place solo is $800,000. Second place split is $400,000. Second place 3 ways is like 2 and change. So every single stroke that Patrick Cantlay, 2 holes behind Tiger or in front of Tiger, matters now because you don't know how many kids Patrick Cantlay has. That he has.
There's still a story right there.
Whatever it is, there's a story. They make a story out of it. In bowling, nothing against the commentators. They don't have enough time. There's not enough airtime to explain what's happening to the guys behind them. Even in the situation of when EJ was bowling 150 against the eventual winner. Who the fuck was the winner? Why am I losing my train of thought?
For which tournament? We're talking about the US Open? Which
When
tournament?
EJ bowled 150 on TV. Against Simo. Simo, 231.80. US Open, the show we're talking about tonight. They don't have enough time to talk about the fact that EJ led the tournament by 560 pins. 560 pins against the best bowlers in the world. That's 12 pins a game in average.
Yeah.
Against the best bowlers in the world over 56 games over a fucking week. They don't even have time to talk about it.
It'd be hard
Instead,
to lose.
They're talking about what they talk about.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but we just don't have enough airtime. It's the same thing that goes back to what you said 10 years ago, what Walter Ray said on the Sweep the Rack podcast. We don't have enough exposure in that respect. We're also trying to figure out a way to appeal to the public in that manner and let them know this is what we're about. And we'll get there. I think we have a chance together, but we have to do it differently than we've been doing it. And I think the best way to do it nowadays is to the general public. Because we're a blue-collar sport. Everybody can participate, whether you're 6'5" or 5'5", 100 or 300 pounds. Doesn't matter. You can bowl. You can bowl. Male, female.
It's non-discriminatory, that's for sure.
Fuck that means nowadays. It doesn't matter. You can do it now. You can do it now. And you can always do it in this sport. And again, as we always go back to, there's too many variables in the sport that dictate who's going to bowl better week in and week out. But the storyline is always there. It's always
that's what it is. No, but it's not though. JP
to show it.
But that's what it is. I feel like it's not there because I had bowled on leagues and I'd never heard of being plus 240 or minus 110. That's what I mean. And that's where the problem is. It is there amongst the niche audience. And that's when I was like, shit, why don't they go by this? Why don't they ever say plus 420 based on a 200 average? A lot of people don't know that. I can promise you that. And that blew my mind. And I was like, what a normal scoring average. I get it. And that's where
I know. Sorry, Ochki.
No, go ahead. No, that was pretty much it. Like, I don't think anybody knows that.
I know we talk about this every week, but it goes back to I don't even know where to go with this one.
If it's a long one, we'll save it for next week because we can.
Yeah, we'll save that one for next week. But that's where I want to open next week. But the exposure is really what it boils down to. We always talk about the PBA's identity. We always talk about what they're trying to do, where they're trying to go, and the truth of the matter is I think just for once again they need to reincarnate what's real. I think they need to talk about the fact that this is a sport, just like darts, just like pool, just like curling. Whatever sport you want to pick that's not considered the NFL, the NCAA, the NHL, or the MLB, or any predominant team sport, I think the emphasis has to be put on the fact that these are blue-collar guys that are changing their lives into white-collar. And there's an opportunity to do so in this world, but the exposure is just not there. So at some point, somebody's going to have to step in and change the the way that people think about our sport.
So, Johnny, explain what the David Small Best of the Best is.
The Dave Small event, which, by the way, thank you, Dave Small, for not only loving the recreational aspect of bowling, but also loving the professionals. We need more proprietors like you, like John Laspina, like Jim Doty. We need more guys like you. First off, the event was contested at Jack 60 in Jackson, Michigan, and the Pro-Am, I think, yielded almost 4,000 spectators and competitors.
Wow.
Which is unheard of in this generation. So that's awesome. We mentioned on the show, if you're in the Bible Belt, if you're in Michigan, Ohio, all the way down through Virginia, that's where bowling still lives. That's still bowling. So the big thing that happens is, and this is from Ryan Simonelli. This is from US Open champion Ryan Simonelli. He made a Facebook post that said, I beat Jesper Svensson by 250 pins at the US Open and I wasn't bowling well. And then I came out to Dave Small's event and he averaged 260 for 12 games. He beat me by 700. That's how crazy bowling is. Again, I'm going to keep saying this.
Yeah,
that's why
repeat
bowling's
that.
not.
Hold on, wait. He beat Ryan Simonelli.
Ryan Simonelli posted on Facebook. I beat you by 300 pins at the U.S. Open, and I wasn't bowling well. And then you beat me by 600 pins in 12 games at the next event. And this is why bowling's not in the Olympics. There's too many variables that contribute to who wins, right? But at Dave Small's event, the biggest thing other than Jesper, like Jesper is a fantastic, sensational, one of the best fucking lefties I've ever seen.
You've talked about him a bunch for sure.
Oh,
I wouldn't have known
God,
the name if it wasn't for you.
He is so good. Jesper has one gift that most people in sport don't possess, which is why they do not get to the pinnacle level, and that is 100% confidence in their brain. Jesper has 100% commitment to every shot he throws. He never, ever cuts off a shot, and if he does cut off one, he is so fucking mad at himself. He is so livid that I will never fucking do that again. Like, that's his mentality. I'd rather kill myself than do that again. But in my lifetime, and I'm talking about my lifetime of watching the PBA Tour, which started when I was 6 years old in 1990 up until the present, the tour has always had 42 games, 48 games, 56 games. It's always had a lengthy qualifying,
to let the cream rise to the top, basically.
And what I saw on social media was a shitload of people saying anybody can win a bowling tournament when they only have to bowl 14 games. Anybody can win a bowling tournament where all they have to do is beat the two guys next to them or the four guys next to them, yada, yada, yada.
Is that all it was, though? Like, is that
Jesper Svensson? Yeah, that's the generic.
No, but it was a 14 game block for the. We don't know.
Yeah, they had a qualifying block. I believe it was 2 6-game blocks, and then they cut the field to the top 24. They would bowl 2 games. Oh, I'm sorry, the top 32. They would bowl 2 games. Then they would cut to the top 16, and then they would bowl 2 games, top 8, then top 4 for the stepladder. And the pins carried over the entire time. And the general public wanted to say it's a short format tournament. It's only 14 games. Anybody could win. That's why Jason Sterner won and when he bowled 299 against Wes, or that's why this guy made a show here, or this and that, like whatever it is. Jesper Svensson's a PBA major champion. Jesper is a fantastic bowler.
Yeah, that's not a fluke that he did that
when it was
either.
56 games. It doesn't matter. He's that good. And I do respect the fact that the cream of the crop always does rise to the top in long formats. I do respect that. But it can't go unnoticed that sprinters are also just as effective. I am a long hole bowler. If I know I have 42 games, you're not going to beat me. You can't beat me in 42 games. In 3 games or 6 games or 12 games, you can. because my brain goes nuts if I know that I have to sprint somewhere. If my brain knows I can strategically get somewhere, then I can be like Chris Barnes. Then I could be like Pete Weber or Norm Duke or my dad. My dad's one goal in his PBA career, when you had 18 games of qualifying followed by 24 games of match play, was bowl 9-pin no tap for the first 3 games. Try and get 9. Do not try and strike.
That's
because
fucking
if you get
insane.
9-pin no tap,
slow down. Slow down. Slow down.
Sorry.
Just slow down.
Sorry.
No. I know. No, because this is amazing into getting the mind of that. So he's only trying to freaking. He's not trying to bowl 199. He's trying to bowl, make his strikes when he can. But if he leaves a 9 count, it's okay.
Exactly. Like, in other words,
what the fuck the mentality? Nobody would even know that. Wow.
When you're trying to get 9, it's a different mentality than when you're trying to strike. When you're trying to strike, there's no holds barred.
Yeah, you're pissed at a 9.
You have to do. But if you're trying to get 9, it's harder to get 8 or 6 or 5 or 4. It's easier to throw a strike. So my dad would say, the first 3 games of a tournament in my first block, I would always try and bowl 9-pin no tap, because as long as I'm making my spares, I'm going to bowl 190. I'm going to be around even after 3 games, and I'm going to get a feel for my environment.
He's going to learn the
scoring
lanes.
pace that's around me.
Dude, you're blowing my fucking mind right now.
How easy strikes are to come by. That's what he would say all the time. And then now, if you bowl 190, 190, 190, 200, 210, 240, and you're 70 over going into day 2, now you can attack game 1. And now, if you know every miss, now you can average 260 for a block. It's the same mentality as a Pete Weber or a Norm Duke. That's a long format way of thinking.
Right, we're talking to league bowlers right now. That's just
my race.
When you're talking to league bowlers, that
right.
you're talking like trying to get your 3 games as high as you can, and what a fucking different man. This is just like when we did the watch along.
League bowling is way different. Of
course. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you're talking to 99% league bowlers. That's what I'm saying. This is why you just blew my shit off, because even when we talked to your dad about the watch along, when he's like, all right, I know Walter Ray is going to bowl 265, and he already has it in his head. He's like, he's going to get tapped 3 times. I don't even know if that math adds up. I don't know how to keep score. I know the premise, but I don't know the actual numbers. And then I'm like, this is what you like. Normally you're just like, okay, make a strike. No, this is fucking crazy. This guy's literally saying, I got a 9 tap just to get in.
3 turkeys is 230. 3 turkeys is 230 if you're clean. That's it. That was my dad's mentality. So if Walter goes strike open, double, spare, he's
already in the clear for.
He's only got 240. That's it.
That's the shit
that blows my mind. If you go spare turkey, you still have 260. If you miss again, now it's 240. So
but even when I asked him, I was like, amazingly, this is almost like golf, where you're trying to find the number, where it's like, okay, what's out? Like, we've all played, them. What do they call the lift, clean, and cheat tournaments? Where everybody gets to, what the hell are they called? And then you're like, all right, 800's out here, 700's out here, and then you start shooting for it. And then when you start to shoot, you press. And then you start duffing, and then you blow putts by because you want to make them. And it's the damnedest thing to try and keep yourself still so grounded with the number you want to get and knowing what it could be.
Absolutely.
And that's the shit that dude, I'm telling you, I would have never thought that. And I'm not really a bowler. I'm a league guy. So you just tore up every league bowler's mind with that.
It always relates back to golf, dude. I know I reference golf in every single show, but maintenance. It's maintenance. Everybody strikes. Everybody can hit the ball 300 yards. Everybody can do that. Who can keep their head when all about them are losing theirs? Rudyard Kipling, if. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That's what that fucking poem means, dude.
Dude, now we're talking authors and whatnot. My stars.
It doesn't matter. That's what this show's about. We're being intellectual. We're talking
but that's
about
true,
the
though.
Shit. All sport is.
What did you say about Simon? About Svensson? He's the guy. He can keep it between his ears.
Quiet between the ears. Mike Albee, Amleto Monticelli, Walter A. Williams Jr., Pete Weber, Norm Duke. They're quiet between the ears. They have figured out a way to accept what's not supposed to happen. When you can do that, you're unstoppable. If you can accept what's not supposed to happen.
And I'll take this even as an anatomical approach. Like look, you're on TV. I don't care if you've been there a million times. There is what's called your fight or flight. And there's no way to shut off an adrenaline dump from your kidneys. You can't. Your sympathetic nervous system cannot shut off until it gets flooded, which is then shut off by the parasympathetic. That's the amazing thing. So when some guy's up there, dude, you even at times where like I need a strike to win this freaking game, and it's a strike to win the game on league, and you're like, I know I can do it, and you still think for a second, and you still do it. But it's amazing that you might not be as fluid for that 1 second, and that's the thing that these guys shut off on national television at the time they have to freaking bowl their freaking one game they have, or the one throw, while shutting down their adrenaline, shutting down their freaking their sympathetic nervous system, their fight or flight. You got me all jacked up. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you something that get me more jacked up real quick, because I actually think the general public wants to hear this too. If you go back to my dad's 300 for $100,000, they do a close up on his face when he's aiming, and you could see the top of the bowling ball right below his chin, and you see him mumbling something to himself under his breath. He's talking to himself as he's aiming, and then he strikes. And then he does it again in the 12th frame. When he got home, March 7th, 1994, I was 9 years old going on 10. I said to my dad, what were you saying to yourself? Like, what were you telling yourself? And he said, at that time, John, I was saying one more shot to college. That was it. That was the only thing I was thinking about. And it took me like 4 years.
That almost adds more pressure, though.
And I asked him in high school, when I did the show for Scholastic Sports America that day, because they interviewed him again, and he said the same thing. And I said, Dad, you said this right after the show to me 4 years ago, or 6 years ago, whatever it was, when I was in high school. And I said, were you thinking about the money? Were you thinking about, what were you thinking about? And he says, his immediate answer to me was, I never think about the money, ever, not in that kind of moment. I don't care if I'm trying to throw a strike in the 10th frame to beat my league bowler who gets 45 pins a game. I don't care if I'm throwing a strike for $100,000. I don't care if I'm fucking throwing a strike to win a gold medal. It doesn't matter. The pressure is still the same, but I'm good enough to handle it. And that was what I kept telling myself. And that is the mentality that I wish I possessed in everyday life, and I don't possess on the bowling lanes, which I've been very, very blunt with on this podcast, is I don't have that killer instinct until my back's against the wall. I could bowl 140, and if the guy bowling me even looks at me the wrong fucking way, I'm going to bowl 280 the third game just to shut him the fuck up. Doesn't matter what money's on the table. That's in my nature. That's how I live. That's what I want. That's what I chase, right? So when my dad reinforced that to me when I was 13, 17, 20, 35, I've always lived by that. The only problem is I've always felt like that's the only way I can turn my shit on. So what I've tried to do in my late 30s is be that way all the time. Like, don't worry about what's at the end. As long as you do your job, that's all that matters. The end result will be there. That's what I'm trying to learn every day, you know? And that's like the one message I would send to the youth. And they seem to have a big grasp on in my generation. My generation pushed and fucking dug and like would show emotion and this and that. And then nowadays, the cool thing is to be even keeled. And I've learned a lot from the youth just from observing, like, wow, they're so cool because they know how awesome the talent is that they're bowling against. They know what they're up against. And that's evolution. That's where we are now. That's what you have to do, and it's very, very cool to me. It's very cool to observe. It's very cool to watch. But I still remember that my dad's fire is, I'm going to say this publicly also, that's what keeps me going in the sport. That's the reason I do what I do, is because people seem to be attracted to that. They seem to chase that.
Well, that's also what made him a champion too. Like we can't even sugarcoat that. Like it takes a special person to have that, and that's what made him I don't know. What do you win? Freaking 16 titles, something like that, or 22 with the freaking, the senior tour. Like you, not many people just walk into the bowling alley and start winning. You have to have this instinct about you.
One thing I do want to ask, just to follow up on that, Johnny, is you talked about Parker Bones kids and how they're all different, but they all love the sport and they're all doing what they can to move the sport along and try to get it, get notoriety back to it. Do you think the younger generation can learn from the mistakes that the previous generations made and make the sport better and get it relevant again by not repeating the same mistakes that everybody else did?
I genuinely do. I observe the kids every day, and I used to fight it, but nowadays, honestly, yeah, they definitely are already revamping the sport. They're already creating a new image. The PBA, as we've spoken in the past, just doesn't know which avenue to go with it. The kids already know what to do.
Right.
The kids are awesome. They're more athletic than they used to be. They're pretty, like we have a pretty batch of kids, and they're doing what any good athlete would do in any sport. And I think absolutely. And again, as we spoke about last week, it's all because of Belmo. The generation now is following somebody that's really good in the limelight. They have a good predecessor. The same way my dad had Dick Weber and Carmen Salvino. The same way the 80s babies had Mark Roth. Same way the 90s babies had a Pete Weber or a Robert Smith or a Brian Voss. Like every generation has somebody that they look up to. But this batch, everybody's all in the same plane. Everybody throws it with two hands. Everybody is cool. Everybody is into their own selves. And everybody, I think that bowling does have a future. I really, really do. I think it's a good batch right now. Big time.
Well, then I think it's up to the commentary to do that, because I watched some bowling from 1981, and it was Chris Schenkel and Bo Burton talking about these tournaments, and they did everything you said. I didn't watch because I wanted to. I watched because I listened to a show about you talking about Chris Schenkel and Bo Burton laying out the format, and they said everything. They talked about Marshall Holman and Mark Roth having a rivalry, yet they were doubles partners. I didn't know any of this shit. They laid out the prize format. There was so many people in the crowd. There was the proprietor dressed to the nines. It was such a professional setting. Chris Schenkel, I don't even know if Chris Schenkel knows anything about bowling. I swear to God. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I just think this guy had the voice of God. He laid it out so perfectly and then threw it off to Bo. You could see it on my YouTube that I watched these last two events last night, the 1981.
Meanwhile,
US
those
Open
two
and the
wives were
Quaker State
not
Open.
sitting next to each other. They didn't make the wives sit next to each other.
Pam Lobb was sitting way far away from freaking
Larry.
That's Larry's wife. Yeah, Larry. So you know who the fuck? I didn't know who the fuck that was. How did he score that smoke show? That's what I want to know.
Bowlers
Anyway.
get the babes, according to David Letterman.
They do.
Case in point.
Yeah.
They did. Oh well.
Yeah. He's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bowlers get the babes. David Letterman said that to Michael J. Fox when he flew in My Dad when Greedy was being filmed. Bowlers get the babes, according to David Letterman. That's why. Look at Butch's wife. Look at Rob's wife. We always get the babes.
That's right.
So what is?
Sorry, I keep calling you that name. I met a bartender downstairs named Butch Oach, and I can't get his name out of my brain.
That's weird.
Sorry about that.
Oh, was it he? Oh, that's good.
It was a he. His name was Butch. Yes.
Well, that's good. That helps.
It was when I'd watched bowling for the sake of watching bowling, but after you laid out what the almost like what their premise was to do, and you nailed it to such a T, and it made it didn't make it enjoyable for me. It made it enjoyable for the viewer at the time because that's what they wanted to hear and see anyway. There has to be something about that, and that this was a rant. This is a legit rant. I didn't mean to rant. I watched it last night going, holy fuck, this guy's really right. So, and what's her name? Pam. How the fuck did Pam Lob? How did Larry Lob get this chick?
Ouch. YouTube, the 1994 True Value Open. Just watch, not the title match when Duke loses to Goebel 296-280. I want you to watch the opening of that show.
So that was the match he well, hold on. That was the match that he fouled twice or purposely fouled.
That show.
So I already have it, and it's already been, but I want to watch the beginning. I want to watch it.
Watch the beginning. What they're going to do is they're going to tell you block by block how much ass Norm Duke kicked by round. They're going to show you all the records and all that shit. And then, when you're done watching it, remember that E.J. Tackett did the same fucking thing on the show that he just bowled 180 against Simo on.
And nobody said anything
Then go watch that show.
Oh, shit.
That's the problem. That's the problem with our sport. History means nothing. It's the problem with our country. Apparently, history means nothing in our country anymore.
I mean, maybe this is what the holdback is, and it's off air. I was talking with Rob, and I'm like, I know, like, Randy knows a shit ton about bowling, and it's like he either talks it that we can't understand it, or it's inside jokes, and Randy Peterson could do what needs to be done.
He could do what Bo did.
He could be Bo Burton for sure.
He could. Johnny, real quick, I want to ask you a trivia question.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
What was the name of the bowler that should have won the ABC telecast, but threw a gutter ball on his last shot?
That was Del Ballard. I even fucking know that.
God damn it.
1991 Fairlanes Open.
I didn't ask you, Oach, you fucker.
But if it's that easy,
that's okay. P. Weber strikes out in the 10th and bowls a 216.
Yep.
Del Ballard needs 2 strikes and 7 pins in the 10th frame, throwing a powder blue hammer.
Keep it on the lane.
Wearing an amethyst hammer shirt with a huge collar.
Yep.
He throws the first 2 strikes, and then after he says, yeah, baby, and fist pumps, gutters on the fill ball. P. Weber, rocking a fucking light blue Cobra shirt, puts his towel behind his fucking head, puts his arms like, what the fuck just happened? And then the next week, wins the Johnny Petraglia Open inaugural year.
That's right.
Excuse me, 1990 Fairlanes Open.
Yeah.
Go research it, Oach, just like your fucking Steelers shit.
I knew it was Del Ballard at least.
No, that was.
I was offended by that. That's what I'm saying.
That was one of the greatest moments.
And how about Pete Weber? Again, like, kind of classy. Like, fuck. That's not. I don't want this.
He was mad.
Like, there's no fucking way this shit happened.
He didn't want to win that way.
And he meant it. And he meant it. He meant it.
Like, he's like, no.
Actually was genuinely surprised by what
he should have been.
Transpired.
Pete Weber could have been like, I want you to have this. I know I won, but like, this is. But anyway, that's a trivia. Again, I know nothing about bowling, but I've seen the fucking Del Ballard fucking.
But I love the fact that Johnny.
Legends of the sport. 2 legends of the sport.
Yeah. I love
one of them.
Go ahead.
Made one fucking mistake in 40 years on fucking 30 years on tour.
And that's what he's known for.
Made one fucking mistake.
Yeah.
And the other guy has also made several mistakes, and they're both fucking legends of the sport. Del Ballard needs a double and 7 pins to beat Pete Weber at the 1990 Fairlanes Open. for $16,000 first place check. He throws the first two in the 10th frame. He fist pumps. He's looking at his girl in the crowd. He's fucking ready to go. He's wiping his forehead. He's 7 pins to win. Throws it in the moat. That's, you guys got all that?
Yep.
The next week, Pete Weber leads the Johnny Petraglia Open and wins, beats Bob Benoit. But Del Ballard made the top 24 the following week, and Shanklin Burton interviewed him at the top of the telecast.
Yep. And
Del gave the most real thing you could possibly say. He says, I just rushed my last shot. It happens to everybody, and I'm back this week, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. I'm just going to own it. The same way Tom Doherty owned his 100 on TV. Like, you take whatever's given to you, and then whatever you do with it dictates how people react to it.
You
right?
can make it what
like
you want,
if you trip and fall in a public place, you could stand up and you could blame what you tripped on, and then everybody looks at you and tells you you're an asshole, or you can stand up and you can laugh about it.
You'd be like,
and
you
say,
guys
I wonder
saw
how many
that?
people have tripped over that. Yeah, or something like that. It's all your energy in that situation, and Del handled it like a true professional, and yeah. And God bless him. He got healthy after he got sick, and now he's bowling again. Dad always calls Del Deputy Dog, and he always calls Dad Grandpa. So, Deputy Dog, if you're listening to the show, love you, and you look fucking fantastic.
That's a great way to end it. Guys, we hope you appreciate this version. Guys, we hope you appreciate this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. We'll be back next week talking about the Kokomo Open. We also have, yes, Johnny.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing to say.
Sure.
It's a public apology to you, Rad Rob. My much better half apologizes for not creating my Twitter handle after she spoke with you. She actually went out of her way to tell me about that earlier on our river walk back to this beautiful Aquarius Hotel here in Laughlin, Nevada. So I also told her that you would take care of it, but I want you to get with her and decide who's going to do that. But
sure.
She was really, really sorry about, like, because she never forgets shit, and I promise you, she never forgets shit. So I had to mention that to you publicly.
Well, I appreciate that, and we are going to get it done. Yeah, because I've been lazy, not lazy, but I mean I've been so freaking busy with everything else I got going on. It's hard to remember everything.
Suck. We got one that's good.
Yep.
And let's put all the emphasis on the 48 shows that suck. Maybe 88 shows for all we know.
No, we will get it done. Johnny Jr. will be on Twitter. So next week we'll be back with the. We'll talk a little bit about the Kokomo Open, but we also have the Tournament of Champions coming up here, which will be at 1 p.m. on Fox on Sunday, February 27th. So we'll talk about hopefully who makes the qualifying for that for the show, and whatever else we happen to talk about. As Ocho flexes his amazing muscles, and Johnny just has to show him up again. It's just living the dream here, watching these two muscle-bound guys.
Good pits.
Yeah, excellent pits. Ocho, what's your Twitter handle?
I don't know.
At the Dr. Ocho.
At JPZ900, let's fucking go. At JPZ900, let's fucking go. At JPZ900, no.
That's Ocho's?
I think, yeah.
That's. I was just lying this time because I don't have one yet.
That's fair.
Oh.
You can follow me at RadRob Gaming on Instagram and Twitter. Are you done? Are you done posing, Oj? The audio podcast.
What the fuck am I doing? I'm waiting for my fucking Twitter handle to get fucking jacked up. You didn't even say it.
I did. You missed it. It's at the Dr. Ocho. It's the only thing you got to remember for the show, and you can't.
I don't have to. No, I don't have to remember it. That's just it. I don't have to. You're not understanding.
Guys, we'll be back next week for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. and Dipshit Ocho and myself. Right here next week on the Rad Rob Radio Network. Take care, guys.
Love you guys. Great night.
Thanks for listening to Straight Up 5. If you would like to send your questions into Johnny Jr., send us an email at straightup5@gmail.com. That's straight up FIVE@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.